And it is a process that seems to be working, and I know that the whole Starbucks team looks at China, certainly the board looks at China, as the major place for growth in the company in the next 5 to 10 years.
Thanks, Bill. Spend a minute or so on marketing, because everyone in the panel has touched on that, and obviously the opportunity to touch the hearts and minds of this, essentially this first generation of users is extraordinary and unprecedented from company brand standpoints. Yet we've seen 30-second commercials rise at 30–40% per annum. The cost of advertising, has skyrocketed. And so, Victor, you give advice to companies that are trying to find, effective ways to enter the market and gain their share of voice to the consumer. What can you comment on what's going on and what advice you give there?
Well, something I would say. Maybe the one point is about the product design. So far, many international products, the sales in China. It's not really developed according to Chinese people's needs. The typical situation is someone developed in international market, then move to Chinese market and sell to Chinese. So when they do any market research, so-called consumer studies, so basically they want to understand some concept about how to do the commercials and advertisement. It's not really about how to develop the product based on the local consumers' needs. But now is the time to consider about that. So this is the first point. Second, I would say that symbolic international factors are very important to attract the stronger local purchasers, which means even the local brand. If you with any international brand, it's like a Lenovo in China, now because emerging the IBM, the part, so that becomes stronger. Maybe not necessarily becomes stronger in the United States market, but it becomes strong in Chinese market. Because many Chinese consumers believe that Lenovo becomes better because it's with that kind of power to merge in the American company. And also many Chinese brands, they give a name, it sounds like an international name. So that's very good to build up their market. But also something I would say, if you want to sell the market, no matter about the commercials and also about the ways to how to sell the product, it's also considered heavily about entertainment. So how to make the fun for these young people and for these key consumers. So we still remember, like in China, we have the Super Girl competition, which is pretty much like American Idol. That way. But Mengniu is a local milk manufacturer, so use that way to sell milk very well. Because people connect that fun thing with their brand, so that sells well. So last year it's about Good Boys, which means selected the Super Boys. So it's also very good to help the people sell their product.
Now, Bill, the Olympics are right around the corner, and you're the #1 brand in China in your field. Anything you guys are doing that you can share with us in preparation?
Yeah, we're really, really excited about the Olympics. Before I touch on that, I think Fred made an interesting point when he said this idea of emotional connection that you got to have with your brand. And we struggled with that for a while. So what is it that we can do that will then exude out of all of our people so that when we do a PR campaign or an advertising campaign, we would actually be able to be totally believable because it's in the DNA of all of our people. And we came up with the concept of the best engineered PC because that's in the DNA of all of our people. Innovation is who we are. We spend literally twice that of the industry average on research and development, and that became something that will be our branding campaign. Now then fast forward and say the sponsorships that we do with respect to branding is all associated with more techie kind of things. As an example, we now have a sponsorship with the NBA. And very interesting, we have all of our technology that's in all the games, running the games, and we came up with an interesting idea with some of the smart people in NBA, and that was this concept called the Lenovo statistic. We wanted something that was unique. And this idea, the Lenovo statistic, what it does is it measures any 5-player combination during the game and figures out who's the best teamer. So at the end of the game, each player gets a Lenovo statistic. Of course, it can generate some level of controversy, as you can imagine, if your statistic is a little bit low. But that's one way we can at least get people a little bit of buzz going on with respect to our brand. Fast forward to the Olympics. We had our first try at this with the Torino Olympics, and somebody described to me once that the Torino Olympics, with the Winter Games, is like putting together a Fortune 125 company in 2 weeks. Very complicated, very difficult, and we had the opportunity to run the entire IT backbone. We had the internet sites, the internet cafes. We had all the athletes and the trainers would email their families, so it was very important we had the whole backbone running well as the games themselves. And it was interesting because there's the temperature fluctuations in the mountains were pretty dramatic during the day. It would go from, we'd have our machines behind some glass areas and the sun would hit them and they'd get up to all the way up to 50 degrees C, and in the night, of course, they'd go below zero. And we had to have flawless performance, obviously, otherwise we'd have problems with the games. Suffice to say, we went 16 days uninterrupted operation with all that equipment. Now, here we go to the Beijing Olympics. That's literally 4 times the size of the Torino Olympics. And one of the things that we're most proud about is the fact that you'll see the Olympic torch, and we have a direct part in the Olympic torch. It's something that we're spent a lot of time. We've actually designed the Olympic torch, so we're pretty excited about what we've been able to do in the Olympics. And when you go to Beijing, and those of you who have the opportunity to go there, you will see Lenovo everywhere. We have some fantastic campaigns, and essentially we will be talking about handheld devices that we'll be giving to people so they'll be able to track the games. We will have plenty of places for people to actually do their email, be able to interact with home, so and they'll be able to get a Lenovo experience when they go into China. So we are very excited about this to be a major coming out party for us, and it'll probably be the area where we launch our biggest foray into consumer around the world, because we use the advertising campaigns and the activation that we have associated with the Olympics to really launch our brand in a much bigger way.
But one thing, I think the Lenovo as an early bird fly. Early bird, so that would be sports marketing is very good for their performance. But so far in the local Chinese marketing, there are so many people using sports marketing. So I would say if the sports marketing or Olympic concept become so common as universal, so maybe it's not proper for so many companies to always take that sports marketing as a way to try to figure out your new marketing space for themselves.
Question for Fred, you're on the board of Disney, and Disney has an operation in China. Has it had to, similar to the Estée Lauder question, has it had to adapt its offering in any way, shape, or form to the China market, or was the brand so well known that people understood it once it began to develop a presence?
Well, first of all, from a regulatory point of view, there's obviously lots of issues in terms of broadcasting and films and so on and so forth. But Disney's value to China is, of course, helping in the education and the ability to speak English, to make it fun for children to do so. So that's a perfect way to do it. And now, as you know, in China, copying is very quickly. So the DVDs, sell for maybe $1.50. So normally you would sell a DVD for $5. Now, if you want to do that in China, guess what? You sell 1% and 99% is going to be the black market. Mm-hmm. So then you have to make a decision. Why am I in China? Am I there to have a commercial success short term, or am I building a brand? And if the answer is I'm building a brand, then you better learn the same thing as the black marketeer have learned, and that is to produce the DVD at 50 cents and then sell it and put the black marketeers out of business at a price which they can't beat. And that's how you build the brand overall, because down the road, the name Disney is going to be more important than the short-term success. So these are the kind of things you have to look at. You have to remember, China has had very little discipline in terms of distribution, which means that competition starts with price and price discounting. In mature markets or in other markets around the world, usually when you compete via price, that means you've run out of ideas and out of innovation. So the last tool you use is pricing. In China, the first tool which people want to use is pricing. So because they have not learned yet how to differentiate via distribution and other aspects, or how you differentiate from the rest of the crowd. So in order to really deal with that, the pricing issue really needs to be addressed up front. That's why I said emotional connection is very important. Giving the local people pride by letting them design some products which are suitable for China, which gives them a differentiation. So these are the kind of things you really have to build into your DNA of your organization.